guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Holly with She Reads, and today I'm going to be doing the Authortube Newbie Tag. So question number 1, how did you find out about Authortube? I actually had no idea that Authortube even existed, which is kind of strange because you'd think that being by such a big fan of BookTube that I would have at least like run into it somehow, but I hadn't. So I had no idea that it even was a thing until I posted my BookTube Newbie Tag, and a couple of commenters said, why don't you do the Authortube Newbie Tag as well? So of course I was like, what is that? So then I started looking into it, and I started watching all these videos, fell down a YouTube hole, which is so easy to do. And yeah, so all of a sudden now I realize that there's an Authortube, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. I think it's question number 2, what genre do you write in? Well, currently, my current work in progress is an adult horror novel. That is probably my most interested genre, and that's what I read the most of, and even like watching movies and stuff like that, that's what I watch the most of. But it's not the only genre that I will write in. I do have other ideas for some other short stories and even a couple of novels. I've got lots of different ideas and a lot of different genres. But for now, adult horror is what I'm currently working on. Question number 3, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? Once again, I think the current works that I'm working on right now is third person point of view, but I'm also comfortable writing in first person, and I think it kind of depends on the story, which way it kind of just comes out. I think, you know, like the certain characters that you have in your mind, it will come out a certain way. And I'm not necessarily more comfortable writing in any other style than a different one. But I don't know, I guess it depends on the story, like I said. Number 4, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? I don't know what that means. So I assume that means like how you plot out your novels. I'm not sure. But what I will say to that is that I just have a very vague outline of the story in my mind, and I kind of work from that. So I have like a notebook where I have kind of some plot points written out that I know that I want to happen in the story, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, I just sit down at my computer and I just write, and the story just kind of writes itself. And sometimes that's easier, sometimes that's harder. Sometimes I do wish that I had a little bit more structure to it, but overall I just find that I probably wouldn't really follow that. I just kind of go with what my gut says at the time. Number 5, are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am yet to be published. Once I am at the stages of publishing, I will be joining the query trenches and trying to see if I can get my book published. Traditionally, but of course if that's not in the works, which I know it's very, very hard to have happen, so I am preparing myself for that it might not happen that way that I would like it to, then I am prepared to go into self-publishing. I think I'm just needing to do a lot of research about it and how to successfully get my book out there so that it will do well and maybe eventually get picked up by a traditional publisher. We'll see, I guess. Question number 6, what publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? To be honest with you, I haven't done a lot of research into literary agents yet. I'm just not at that stage where I'm needing to start thinking about that yet. Same thing with publishing houses. Like, to be honest with you, like I just want my work published. And of course I want it to be represented by a company that will do it justice and that will, where it will do well. But I haven't yet put in a whole lot of research or thought into that. I'm just not there yet. So I'm trying to kind of just stay on task and not kind of put the cart before the horse, so to speak. Number 7, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Well, one thing that I think is kind of cool that I've already started, I'll link the video down below, is I'm going to be doing a segment called She Reads Your Stories. So that's where I will be reading a lot of my own stories, some of them fictional, some of them true. And I also will be reading your stories. So if you have a story that you would like to send in for me to read on my channel, the email is linked down below. And I would love to read somebody else's stories on here as well. I think that'd be kind of a cool little segment to do. So that's number 1, what I think would be really awesome. Number 2, I have a video coming out where I don't know if you guys have ever seen these books, but they're like writing prompts books. And I have a couple of those. And so what I thought would be kind of fun would be to choose a writing prompt and on here do the story. So I'll choose the writing prompt, and then the next week I'll come back and I'll read you the story that I chose from it. I'll be choosing it at random, and then also you guys can do the same thing as well. So I'll choose the writing prompt and you guys can submit your stories as well. So basically the best one is the one that I'll read on the next segment. So that's kind of a cool thing as well. And then maybe further on, once I get a little bit more comfortable with my writing and everything that goes along with it, then I probably will do more of, you know, my writing process and stuff like that. So number 8, when did you start writing? I have always been a writer. I remember pretty much ever since I could write, writing. I have stories probably going back to like even 2nd grade. Like I have always been a writer and I've always been a storyteller. So it's always been something that I've been interested in, and I've always, like, I think when I was about 12 years old, I had started writing a novel, and I've just always been so interested in it. So I have a ton of short stories and a ton of half-started novels sitting in a box somewhere from my childhood. So, what was the first story you ever wrote? That I'm not sure of. I'm not sure what the first story I ever wrote was, but one that does stand out in my mind was, I think, in about 4th grade, and my mom still has this story hanging up in her basement today, and it's so cute. I look back on it now, it's just adorable. But it was the week I turned into a quarter or something like that, and it was about, I woke up one day and I was a quarter and kind of how I went from place to place, and like somebody would, you know, one kid spent me on candy or something at the candy store, and then that person gave me as change to this person, and just went through a whole week where I was a quarter. And I look back on it now, it was so cute. But it was definitely an inventive storyline. I don't know where I would have come up with that at such a young age. Number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Once again, I think that depends on the piece that I'm writing at the time. My current work in progress, I would say Anne Rice probably has inspired me the most in that regard. My favorite horror novel of all time is The Witching Hour by her, and this kind of, what I'm working on kind of takes something from that. I was definitely inspired by that novel in writing this one. So I would say in my current work, definitely her, but I mean in my future works, who knows? Do you ever schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Yeah, it's pretty much whenever I can find the time. I am a mom, I have a baby, so his schedule kind of, I work everything around that. So typically I end up writing when he goes to bed. That's where I get a lot of my reading and my writing and a lot of booktube stuff done as well when he's napping. So, question number 12. Do you type on a computer, typewrite, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of these, and where do you write in general? I use a blend of these. My novel I am writing on computer, on a laptop, but a lot of short stories I like to write out by hand, and I typically handwrite rather than print as well. And I generally do everything in my kitchen. I have an office space downstairs that I have yet to set up, and that's something that, I don't know, I'm back and forth on whether I want to do that or not. Upstairs here in the kitchen, like it's easy access to my son. If he starts crying when he's sleeping, I can just run in there, and I don't know, I just typically like being up here. I like this spot, so we'll see. I may or may not end up setting that up and using that in the future. The last question is, what are you most looking forward to now that you're a part of Authortube? I think probably just making some connections, meeting some other authors and kind of seeing how they're going about things, especially once I get to the part where I'm wanting to start getting into the query trenches. I think it would be really great to have met some friends by then who have maybe gone through that process and who I can kind of talk about this with, because it's kind of a scary feeling, like, you know, you're going to be sending your baby off into the world and you just like, you know, all your hopes and dreams are riding on it. So I think it would be kind of nice to have somebody that I could talk to about that, and also even just finding other authors that I can send my work to that maybe would give me an honest feedback, because I don't really have a lot of people in my life that I could give my writing to that I know would give me honest feedback. because I think people are just probably going to be nice and just say like, oh, you know, it's good. Well, you know, I need more than that. If I'm going to be sending this off to a publisher where they're getting, you know, 1 million manuscripts a day, I need something to stand out. So I need somebody to give me some honest feedback on that. So that is it for the Authortube Newbie Tag. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll have the couple of videos linked in the description box below for a couple other videos on my channel. And I hope that you guys subscribe and that you like the content that I'm going to be putting out. Thanks once again for watching and have a great day. Bye!